We are the universe experiencing itself through infinite point of views. Good evening, and welcome to the Immersive Experience, a podcast about you, for you, from you. I'm your guide, Desi Lu, and today we talk about the quantum thinker. All right. And maybe you're wondering, what the hell is a quantum thinker? I don't know if any of you are into quantum physics, quantum mechanics, anything like that, but a quantum thinker is someone who applies quantum mechanics to their everyday life. Quantum quantum thinking can be applied in like short bursts and different things like that. And maybe you're wondering, can you be a quantum thinker? I think it's all within us. It's very innate to all of us. So I do believe that we can all be a quantum thinker if we really and truly honestly put our mind to it. Is it something that we really want to do? Is it something that you're willing to give up to get there? So like I said earlier, a quantum thinker applies the principles of quantum mechanics to everyday life. Involves adopting a perspective that is open to uncertainty, complexity, and multiple possibilities. So, and if you're already trying to see similarities between you and itself, then I think we do this every day. We have a situation and we'll weigh out the options. We'll weigh out everything that we're thinking, like, okay, I got this that I gotta do, I got this that I gotta do. Okay, but if I do this first or if I don't do this, so you're already playing with the concept of what I'm talking about. So we want to make it more effective. We want to make it more streamlined for that. Quantum thinkers also focus on the interconnectedness of all things and the role of the observer in shaping the reality. So, what this is essentially saying is that we are essentially very, very aware of ourselves as quantum thinkers. You have to understand how your perspective plays into this, what you're not allowing yourself to do. I think in being a quantum thinker, it takes a lot of accountability. Okay. And like I said in a post that I had posted a while ago, accountability is like the haunted house that nobody wants to go into, right? And like, we're not going up in there. Because it's easier to just walk past all of your troubles. It's easier to walk past all of your struggles. It's easier to push them up under the rug because it's too scary. I don't want to deal with it right now. I don't want to touch that. But the moment that you start touching it, the moment that you start trying to understand where you were, what mechanisms you put in place to help you defend yourself, to push these types of attacks off, things like that. When we start to think about things like that, then we're getting down to the very particle of what is hindering us, what is bothering us. So quantum mechanics is the study of subatomic and atomic particles. You know what I'm saying? And when we're thinking of quantum mechanics, it has to do with wave particle duality. I wrote down a quote that Einstein had quoted, and he said, "It seems as though we must use sometimes the one theory and sometimes the other, while at times we may use either. We are faced with a new kind of difficulty. We have two contradictory pictures of reality. Separately, neither of them fully explains the phenomena alike, but together they do." And so why that quote stuck out to me so much is because simply people always, call us light beings. They always say, "Oh, you got to shine, you're going to do this, you got to do that." Like they're always referring to you as light. So essentially, what a quantum thinker understands is their duality. They understand that, hey, I could be all of these things, but it's simply about what you focus on, what you put your mind to. If you put blinders on, what are we focusing on now? Because I can only see what's in front of me. You know what I'm saying? So, um, in order to become a quantum thinker, one can start by adopting a mindset that is open to new perspectives. So, this is for the people who call themselves open minded, free thinkers, all of those things. So, if you're truly an open minded person, your mind can flow and go anywhere. But you do understand that because you are so aware of yourself, you know that I can follow a thought, but I also understand that that's an infringement upon who I am. So I never act in that manner. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to judge you for what you're doing. I'm not going to judge you for how you feel or how you go out and live your life. But I do have a certain set of standards. But you can't hold me to your standard and think that, oh, just because I don't like what you're doing or I won't participate in what you're doing. If everybody's snoring coke in the room and I don't snort coke, maybe I'm not snorting coke. I don't care how rude you think me. Kick me out. I'm not doing it. I don't like. But I'm okay if that's how you choose to live your life. I suppose I don't know. If I guess I wouldn't want friends who did that because then why would I want to be around them? Anyways, besides the point, right? So this involves when we're talking about opening our perspective. This involves questioning and challenging our beliefs and embracing the uncertainty that can come behind us opening those things up. So we have to become aware of where we hinder ourselves with our own thought process because of the experiences that we've had or because of the people who have done us wrong or the things that we've allowed to happen to ourselves. So we really have to fall into um, a mind like that. A quantum thinker may also cultivate a sense of curiosity and wonder about the world around them. And they'll seek to understand the interconnectedness of it all because it's all about the quantum thinker. It's all about you. It's all about where you're coming from, how you're viewing yourself, how you're not viewing yourself, the places that you're not paying attention to yourself at. And those are the things being that are forever in your head. You're holding. Quantum mechanics also talks about superposition, and they talk about the double slit experiment. Okay, and this is when they took tennis balls and they shot them through the two double slits. And so some of them of course didn't make it through the slits, but the ones that did made patterns directly behind the slits that lined up with the slits. So what they understood after that experiment when they tried it with particles, they understood. That's how they started to understand the the duality of what these particles had the ability to do when they were studying quantum mechanics. So they shot the particles out of a beam, and when they shot them out, what happened is they had these places where some of these canceled each other out, then the other ones, and so they made four patterns. Unlike the tennis balls that made two, so we could get we could get a probability of what was going to happen with the tennis balls, but there was no probability of what was going to happen with the with the particles that were being thrown at the wall. So when they chose to monitor those particles, the particles chose to stop existing in all states at once, and it chose a state. And so they even talk about how the particle possibly had the ability to time travel. But it wasn't that it had the ability to time travel. It was that when it understood it was being monitored, it chose a state. And then they also talk about quantum entanglement, which is basically Schrodinger's cat, and he had this box, and they put some biohazard in it, and he put a cat in it. And as long as you kept that lid closed, there was a possibility that the cat was dead or alive. But as soon as you opened it, it had to solidify itself. Either it was, and they also talked about um another way of it being connected if there's like two boxes and different things like that. So as a human, we understand that we have the ability to exist in multiple states at one time, and we know that happens in our mind all the time because we're always cycling with the I could be doing this or I should be doing that, or if I did this or if I was consistent about that. And it's all about what you're consistent about. It's all about the skill that you're willing to put into yourself, and that is how you become the quantum thinker. That is how we become able to see all sides, all angles of it. And then we also have to understand that we're choosing not to do something. It's a choice. You're making the choice. And that's how aware of self that you have to be. You can't beat yourself up for something and then keep saying, oh, well, if I would have did this and I would have, but you didn't. You didn't do that. And the fact that you didn't do that, now you're dealing with the consequences of what you decided not to do. Hey Patrick, how are you doing? So those are the things that we have to deal with at that point in time, okay? And then in my notes now, and it just brings me to a better point. It's about becoming aware of yourself. It is an important aspect of becoming a quantum thinker. This involves developing an understanding of one's own thought process. So you need to understand how you think, how your mind is processing things, why it won't allow you to skip past certain pieces, or why you can't make it past other places. You need to look at what type of patterns you created in your thought process. So, and we need to be able to challenge our own thought processes. Where when I think about when I went to church, and they were always used to tell me, don't question God, you just let things happen. You don't question God. That's what I learned. But then everything was so contradictory for me at that time when I was growing up. Because when I was in school, my teacher was always telling me, you need to ask why. Question why, question everything. But in church, I'm learning you don't question God. But in school, I'm learning, oh, you question everything. So it's just kind of like, it was like one of those things that was kind of like back and forth. And you really have to find a place where you're balanced enough to understand, okay, this is how I have to handle this, because this is what's going to suit me. This is what's going to help me get past the things that I need to get past, because I understand me. When you're looking at you, you need to be able to know, is this the thought of somebody else? Are these my thoughts? Is this something that somebody else had told? Do you really think that you're ugly? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it something that you really think about yourself? Or is it more of a thing that is just something that you heard so many times, and you've become accustomed to acting like that? And those are the types of questions that you have to start. And shadow work ties into this perfectly. So being aware of yourself in that type of manner. If you've ever seen a shadow work book or anything like that, that's what this type of awareness is. But at all times, you're the sun, and you're aware of how you affect everything. That's how quantum thinking works. Like I said when I first came on here, we we are the universe experiencing itself through infinite point of views. That's it. How does this play out for you? So, um, one thing about a quantum thinker is it's always going to put us into an awareness of the present moment. I often think of how when I think about what I'm creating, I'm pulling from both my past and what I want to see in the future. But I can only focus on those things in the present, applying lessons from the past and walking into what I want to see in the future. This is how we create those things. And this is what a quantum thinker is able to hold in its mind at the same time. It's able to exist in multiple states at the same time. Because I understand where I come from, I know where I want to go, so I know the actions that I have to take to get there. So a lot of times we do things that are counterintuitive to what we want to do, and that's how chaos ensues. So when we're doing pirouettes, or when you're doing learning how to do spins and different things like that, they always tell you to find a focal point. Because this is something that when you spin, this is something that you can focus on every single time, so your mind is not you're not getting so dizzy. And this is how and in your mental, this is how chaos ensues, because you have no focal point. What's the saying? Stand for something or fall for anything, right? And we dang sure don't want to just fall for anything. So you got to really figure out where you float at. What are the things that make you tick? What are the things that help you don't help you. So, um, which can help you better understand the interconnectedness of all things, how you affect things, how other things will affect you. One of the best things about being a quantum thinker is the ability to see the world in new and creative ways. And I feel like that's scary for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Because we're so used to seeing it, which is why I feel like men and women argue so much right now, right? Because men are like, y'all not like the women back in the day. No. And women are consistently arguing the fact that, hey, listen, we've evolved, we've done more. You coming in just providing for us isn't enough, you know. And so, and I think that's why because we understand how we affect each other. We understand, but sometimes we refuse to understand the progression of the people of a sex. We don't we get stuck in just being like, oh yeah, back in the 60s, we was doing this. But you forget to comment to the progression of our economy, to you, to the progression the of the female sex, to the things that they're able to accomplish these days that they weren't able to accomplish back then. And then women, we forget to acknowledge the success of men, what they're doing, what they're accomplishing, what they're getting in tune with their feelings more. They're being more present, and everything just suspect for these niggas these days. You just gay. You can't even ride in the car with a man and fall asleep in the front seat, and they all like, that's gay. Like, and it's a lot of that. One thing about being a quantum thinker is the ability to see the world in new and creative ways. Okay. A quantum thinker is open to uncertainty, complexity, and multiple possibilities, which can lead to innovative solutions, innovative ideals, because you're able to solve problems differently than anyone else would handle them, who would come in with a closed mind and only be able to see how to solve problems from their experience. So you have to be able to think outside of the box, you know, and I mean way outside of the box, otherworldly almost. So you gotta just just keep building yourself in that manner, you know. And that's all. And it's all about the interconnectedness of it all. I think one thing about the downside for sure about being a quantum thinker is definitely that it's hard to find people who are going to be able to understand your thought process, who are going to be able to understand the ideals that you have, because they're so out of the norm. They're so different that people are not going to be able to grasp them like that. So it can make you feel disconnected. It can make you feel unattached at times. And I do feel like that's why a lot of people, because you're able to see multiple realities. Hey, Jazz, how are you doing? You're able to see multiple solutions to problems, and you have a hard time choosing. So you become indecisive. This can create anxiety. This can create depression. So it's really, really important for you to find something to focus on. You need to find something that you can stand for and stand in. If you don't have that, these are the things that you're going to face. These are the downsides that you're going to face without that awareness of yourself. So it's kind of like if I work a job and I'm working this job, and at this job I understand, oh, you're not willing to give me what I'm worth anymore. It's no longer beneficial, but what you do understand, it's beneficial to the fact that you can still pay your bills. What we need to understand is that when somebody else comes in and tells you, oh girl, you don't need that job no more, just quit, and you're just like, well, I'm scared, I can't put that out, and my insurance is too good, and I and it's not that I'm saying that's not okay. That's perfectly fine. You got to understand where you float at. You got to understand who you are. But if another person comes to you with a problem, you don't want to think about that problem from your fears. Do you understand? So and that's what quantum thinking essentially is: being able to hold those ideals, multiple ideals in your head, multiple realities in your head, being able to understand, hey, this is how my friend operates. Let me give my friend an ideal that's going to better suit them. This is why it's okay to take your time. This is why it's okay to get to know people, because now what a quantum thinker does know is that I have the facts behind the facts. So you can't talk about Malcolm X used to get up there and talk about Elijah all the time. And people could be like, who's Elijah? Who the hell is Elijah? And a smart person would think, well, let me go research this person too so I can better understand where he going. You know the facts behind the facts. And that's the place that you want to get to, because anything can lead down a road, and you can instantly, when people travel down rabbit holes to try to help you get to understand, like I'm doing right now, to, to help you understand where they're trying to come from. And when they start traveling down those rabbit holes using different scenarios of, oh, did you see this movie? Or, oh, have you ever heard this song? Trying to get you to relate to the feeling, to relate to what you felt at that time. And if they find a place where you say, oh, okay, I can understand how that is, then now we can move forward because I've unblocked you. Now you can open your mind to greater possibilities, because dang, I ain't never, you want those moments where you like, dang, I ain't never thought about it like that. That's expanding you. That's adding to you. They have these quantum computers that they're trying to build now, and that's able to process a million things at one time. It's able to find just like a million. It's kind of like Google. You type in what you're looking for, and it pulls up all of these results. And you don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know what you're about to read, but it pulls up those results just like that, right? So to streamline quantum thinking, one can focus on developing a set of principles or guidelines that help to guide decision making, making, and actions. This may involve developing a clear sense of purpose or intention, and being willing to take risk and make mistakes in pursuit of that goal. So we think of entrepreneurs, right? Like they take risk because they understand what they're trying to do. They understand the end goal. And a lot of people, I think that we battle with what we have going on inside of ourselves a lot of the time. So it's hard for us to be quantum thinkers because we don't know how to handle what we have going on. We don't know how to approach ourselves. Therefore, we won't know how to approach anybody else. Because to understand oneself is to understand, just to understand everything, really. I don't know. I have I've always had this weird way about me that I never wanted anybody to be able to tell me about me. I always wanted to be the person who knew who I was, where I'm coming from, what I'm feeling, how that applies to you, what you said to make me feel this way. When those feelings kicked in, like I'm that person, and I've always been that meticulous about myself. I've always wanted to be able to search myself and always know where I'm standing at in that moment. Because if you make me feel something, oh God, and it's been a lot of times. It's kind of like first time I realized when I was at school and I was in gym class, and the teacher chastised me. There was a feeling that came up, and it was kind of like one of those things. I was like, I don't like it, but God dang, they not wrong. Like I want to be mad at them, but they didn't do anything. They just made me pay attention to something that I was doing wrong, and it was that. And this is how I learned to become okay with constructive criticism, being able to understand, like, hey, yeah, it might hurt a little bit, it might hurt a lot, god damn it, but like, you got to be open to that, and you got to be open to the constructive criticism of yourself. You got to be able to understand where you are in your journey, where somebody else is in their journey, um what manipulation looks like, how this could possibly pay out, because we understand, what we do understand about people is that we're forever changing. That is one variable, but we know us. You know what I'm saying? And what I can do is I can keep my word. What I can do is be the person that I said that I was going to be, and make that play out, because that's my focal point, being the best person that I can be. So I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about what you really got. It's really when you're a quantum thinker, it's really from a selfish standpoint. And I don't, and not selfish in a bad way. It's just really, I have morals, I have values, and I don't want to infringe upon you while I'm living my day to day. While I'm doing the things that I need to do, I don't want to infringe upon you and make you feel as if I don't see you or if I don't hear you. But if I understand me, and I think that I've had this issue with a lot of people where I'm just kind of, they're like, oh, so you don't think that I'm good enough for you? Or no, it's not that you're not good enough for me. We're just not compatible. And that don't make you any less. That doesn't make you anything less than. It just speaks to the people that we are. And those are the places that we have to get to. And that's what quantum thinking can help us accomplish. Understanding that ultimately we have to get down, we have to streamline our process. We have to figure out where we want to go, what we want us to look like, how far we want to go, how far we don't want to go, what we want to entertain. It's like those choice video games that they have now where you can go through and pick and choose what you want to do. Excuse me, that's what life is like. You're going through and you're picking and choosing and what you want to do. You're weighing multiple realities against each other every single day. If I do this, this can happen. And we all know about the multiple world theory because it's something that's so popular. We all know about multiple dimensions. We all know that if there's so many things that we're so aware of, and we really have to be focused. You just gotta be focused enough to get there. And if you allow everything to pull on your mentality, if you allow everything to weigh on the person that you are, you're never gonna get to where you're trying to get to. Yeah, we are everywhere all at once. So it's one of those things where it's kind of like everything is everything, but then everything is nothing at all. So I was telling somebody the other day that the way my mind races, like it races to the point where it'll go so fast that I'll be thinking nothing at all. All the thoughts become obsolete. Everything just kind of cancels out itself. It's like you play it out and it just loops right back around on itself. So and that's something that's helped me have the patience that I have because if I'm quiet long enough, a person that I'm talking to who is arguing with me is going to make my point for me eventually. And I've learned to have that type of patience. And even if it isn't that they're going to make my point, if I'm quiet long enough, I'll understand where they're coming from. If I haven't already understood where they're coming from in the first place, it's hard for us because we notice the red flags and we refuse to acknowledge them. We'll race right past them, and we're not thinking. And the whole time, there is nothing that I've ever entered that I didn't know about. You know what I'm saying? And the entire time I'm sitting there and I'm understanding, like, okay, I see that you lied this time. Okay, I see that you did this time. I'm picking up on the person you are. So I'm not going to be surprised when you do what you do. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's and this is how we streamline things. We have to give ourselves a focal point of where we're going to come from as a person who is a quantum thinker, who wants to move as a quantum thinker. We got to seek out those perspectives of others in order to gain a more complex understanding of the complex of what interconnectedness is. We have to. I ask a lot of questions, and people might feel like I'm challenging them, but I'm not challenging you because I'm asking these questions. I'm really trying to delve into it and help you and help myself understand where you're coming from. There's been like a lot of times where I could be having a conversation with a person, and it's not to say that I've never challenged a person by asking them questions because it's a lot of things that I just know. You know what I'm saying? Like I know. It's not a belief of mine. It's not a like I just know. And I can sit there and I can ask them these questions. And like I said, if you're patient long enough without poking and prodding a person, they'll eventually spin you right back around to your point. Oh, we right back where we started. I like to And I always tell everybody that I know, y'all know I'm the first to be like, I told you so. And I really am. I'm that person. Cause once I started noticing the pattern of me, it was easy to start noticing the pattern of everybody else. Once I was able to recognize where my insecurities were, why I had those insecurities, or what went into me to make me think this way, feel this way, why I did what I did. How did it make me feel? Did you feel bad? Did you feel bitter? How easy is it for you to walk in your truth and the truth of you? And I mean the truth of all of you and everything about you. We get so ashamed about the pieces of us. That's how we cease to exist in our duality, because we're ashamed of pieces of us that everybody has told us that they ain't no good. Oh no, because you had sex before marriage, you're no good. You're not going to get married ever. Oh my God, because you have an altar in your house, the devil's going to come and get you. You do not know how to exist when these are the things that are beaten down onto you. And this is something that you've taken a liking to, or that we think of um same-sex marriages, even those things, being able to be gay in a family, and not being able to be gay. You think about the Bible Belt, you think about the people in the South. There are just so many different ways that people will infringe upon you being you, and you're not allowed to exist in your duality. And the duality thing is, you can exist inside of it, but you cannot infringe upon other people. There was a video that was sent to me, and the guy was talking about the just, just the rapture. It's a it's a rapture, and I couldn't remember what it was called. I don't know why, but he was talking about a rapture. And one thing that stood out to me in this video was when he said that there was a lady at the front, and he heard her being judged, and it was said that I'm not sending you I'm not sending you to hell because you you believed what you believed, basically. I'm sending you because you misled 300,000 people. And what I took from that was, you're free to have your believe what you believe, right? But don't go and place those misconceptions of yourself on other people. Don't make them follow that knowledge, especially if you know it's not where you operate from. Especially because if you tried it, if you've had the thing of trial and error, why would you go and place that on somebody else? You know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot of different things that you have to be aware about, that's within yourself, to just understand that you are the universe experiencing itself through infinite point of views. And you have to remember that. And like I said earlier, quantum thinking may seem self-centered, but it's because you're comparing everything that has happened to you against everything that you're seeing. You're comparing it against multiple perceptions, multiple realities, multiple things that have played out. People always say, "Oh, you can't create a crazy person if they came from a good household." But what have we found out? That it exists. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of things that you never thought would happen because of the way that you grew up. Oh man, look at the way I turned out because I didn't have a father in the home. Or look at the way that, not knowing that there can be a reverse teaching. And I learned about reverse teaching so early on in life. It was more so like, I don't have to fall victim to the mentality that I'm going to be another statistic because I don't have my dad in the home. I don't have to fall victim. There was, and they talk about that in quantum mechanics as well. That's the superpositioning, where they say that they can place a line where a particle is not supposed to be able to cross, and then that particle does what? It crosses the line. And it's a lot of things that happen. We think about the social hierarchy and how people have always came up and they're like, oh no, you can't marry down because they don't have enough money, they're not going to be able to take care of you. But we've seen it happen. This is like two positives opposing each other. And we know that they're going to oppose each other, but there's something that can heat up these two positives, which will cause a forced connection, like heat. You apply heat, it'll cause a forced connection between two positives that have always opposed each other. And that's crazy to me. That's just the thing. That's just like humans. If I'm determined enough, if I'm determined enough, I can do it. I can make it through. I can make it to something else. I don't have to keep going down this same destitute path that I've chosen for myself. You know what I'm saying? I can become something else. I can be something else. It's about your determination. And in this realm, we're so linear. We're so deterministic that is why that is possible. That is why you can exist in so many states and be born in the ghetto and become some rich and from rags to riches. We talk about that all the time. You've crossed that barrier. You've crossed that line. You apply quantum thinking in a way that you want to apply it every single day. You just don't understand that you're doing it, but you only apply it in spurts. So this is why you still meet those really low lows. You're still battling with your self-worth because you have no idea of who you are, of the things that you're capable of, because you're still stuck in your mind thinking, oh, my mom told me that I was stupid, or my teacher told me that I'll never amount to anything. And we still live on with that. I mean, for a long time, it was like things that I thought I would never be. And after a while, it's just kind of like, fuck y'all. Like fuck them all. Like I'm going through a whole phase. You know what I'm saying? Like you get to that point. You get to a point where you just kind of like, I gotta see this from a different perspective. Because if we would have kept that same mindset of women can't, women would have never progressed the way that they progressed. Or if we would have kept the same mindset that men can't feel, men can't have emotions, men would have never been able to get in tune with their emotions to understand I need more than just you to put your coochie on the table and cook some food and do all of this. I need more from you. It is about the progression of the mind. And if you stay so closed off, this is how you stay in bondage. This is how you're not able to access the things of you, because you don't know nothing about you. And you refuse to look at you in that light. You refuse to see yourself. If I say, I always used to, when I started writing poetry, hey E, when I started writing poetry, and he's the one who made me think of poetry because he be writing some poetry, y'all. So when I started writing poetry, there was a lady who I had seen, and she wrote so eloquently, and I don't know why that word wouldn't come out my mouth, but looking at her, and I was just kind of like, dang, I want to be that. I want to do that. And I kept asking myself, well, basically, what's keeping you from doing that? And when we had went to this show in North Carolina, and there was this guy on stage, and I seen him, and the way he composed his words, the way he put his shit together, I was like, I need to do that. And the next question I asked myself was, how do you do that? I listened to the words that he was saying. What I instantly understood is my vocabulary is not big enough. How do I get a bigger vocabulary? So then I had to go start. I kept a thesaurus with me. I kept a dictionary with me. I wanted to know synonyms, antonyms. I wanted to know everything that I needed to know about structuring things, sentences, and fuck punctuation, obviously, because I still ain't got that. Sentence, the way that poems were structured. I had to pour all of that into myself. I had to look at it like that because I wanted to be better. I wanted to do what I saw other people do, but I ain't want to try to bite off of them. I wanted to make it more my own. And so in order to do that, I had to learn the facts behind the facts. And who are you? Quantum thinking starts with you learning the facts behind the facts of yourself, following it, understanding it completely. Once you know you completely, you know where you're stepping on your own toes. You know when somebody else stepping on your toes, like, nah, that ain't me, bro. You can instantly dismiss reflections that don't look like you because you can see it. You already in tune with yourself. I promise. I promise. I promise. If it's something that you want to practice, if it's something that you just try thinking outside the box, just try floating in the paranoia for as long as you can, and then being like, let me pull myself back in. You know what I'm saying? And if it's something that you got to do with somebody, because I can understand hopping outside of yourself, thinking outside past your experience, thinking beyond that. It's something that is totally difficult for a lot of people. But if you're able to do it, if you could do it with in a session, if you could do it with therapist or however you see fit, whatever you think that you need, allow yourself to play with thoughts that don't suit you, that don't feel like something that you would necessarily do, and see how far you get. And this is what the quantum thinker is. This is how they process things. This is how they, yes, you have to go beyond the middle. You have to know that you're also the observer. If I told you right now, I said, just in your head, think about what you're doing. Tell yourself what you're thinking about right now. And you see, I had to tell you to tell yourself what you're thinking. You told yourself what you was thinking. That's it. And that's how that works. That's beyond the mental. You told yourself what you were thinking. Nobody else is going to come in unless you allow them to. Nobody else is going to come in and be like, hey, you're thinking this. I can come in and plant the thought, though. I could be like, don't think about a monkey, and then show you a bunch of pictures of monkeys. Like, hey, this is a baboon. This is this. So I can tell you right now, for 5 seconds, don't think about a monkey. And all I'm gonna sit here is give you facts of monkeys. Did you know that monkeys could? And all I'm sitting here like, and it's that. What we resist persists. And since we keep resisting our quantum mentality, our quantum thinking brain, it's gonna persist. It's gonna hunt us. What are the things that you're going to encounter from not properly using this, from not properly putting this into use? Depression, anxiety, loneliness. You're going to feel all of those things. So I don't know. I hope that made sense to all of you. I think my notes, I had them because I didn't want to get off subject with you, and just remember that the most important thing about being a quantum thinker is being aware of yourself and being flexible and open to the thought process, allowing yourself, understanding that you are the sun, and understanding how you affect everything that is around you. Okay, you affect it. So you have to understand the interconnectedness of what part you play in everything. Thank you. I'm trying to get a little deeper here. Get somewhere. And quantum thinking can be hard to grasp because it's a fundamental shift in perspective. It is. And that's the difficult part of it. It's about crossing that line. The line that we talked about with particles. How they say that a particle shouldn't be able to exist on the other side of that line, but boom, when you turn on the light, the particle on the other side, and you'd be like, how the fuck did that particle get over there? I ain't gonna give you all my secrets, you know. And that's what the particle really be saying in quantum mechanics. That's exactly what the particle is telling us. Because when they start to monitor the particle chooses a position to play. It pick its part. It pick the part it's gonna play. But when the lights go out and ain't nobody monitoring it, it goes off in the multiple variations that it knows it can display itself in. It chooses to exist in multiple states at one time. And the problem is with us right now is we exist in multiple states at one time. And we have no business existing in multiple states at one time. Find your focus point. Zoom in on it. And still keep your mind open enough to understand everything around you. To understand everything that's happening, okay? Well, I thank you guys for the comments, the encouragement, just everything. You guys are awesome. So Thank you so much for tuning into the immersive experience. And we look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Have a great evening.